Hi everybody, it's Az here from Heel vs Babyface, and this is the second out of the 4 bosses which have been released on the Veil of Eternal Sorrows Looking for Raid Siege of Orgrimmar. Now then, this one is called the Fallen Protectors, and don't feel too sorry for them because these are the Golden Lotus crew that gave us all those horrible quests at the beginning of Mists of Pandaria, so this fight should actually be a joyous occasion and not a sorrowful one. Now there's 3 of them, and you have to adhere to some very specific rules. Firstly, you've got to bring them down one at a time, but they all must die together. That is very important indeed. So the first one that we focus on is Rook Stonetoe, and he does a few things, so let's get into them. Number 1, he'll do a Vengeful Strike, which stuns the target, which he hopes the tank, inflicting 150,000 physical damage in a frontal cone twice per second for 3 seconds. So if you're a DK, you know, use your Icebound Fortitude and stuff and break that stun. Just be very careful. If you're a melee DPS, get behind it, get away from it. He'll also throw a Corrupted Brew Keg, which will hit a distant target, dealing 81,249, because they can't get that extra one to make it 250, shadow damage to all players within 5 yards, and will slow their movement speed by 50% for 15 seconds. It's very clear and easy to see when it's been thrown. Just move out of the way. He'll also do something called Clash, where he'll select a random enemy and you will clash together, you will charge together and meet halfway. When he hits, he will immediately perform his Corruption Kick ability. And this is where he spins rooted to the spot, dealing 99,000 damage to enemy targets within 10 yards every second for 4 seconds. And additionally, it will add a debuff that will deal 61,875 shadow damage every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. So when he's spinning, move out of the way. Now when he reaches 66% and 33%, like all of the Fallen Protectors, he will do his Desperate Measure, and he will summon 3 corrupted versions of his besties, and this will be Embodied Misery, Sorrow and Gloom. Now Embodied Misery will deal Defiled Ground, where it'll smash the ground, dealing 288,749, missing point again, physical damage to its target, knocking them back, but it burns the ground, and that will deal 82,500 shadow damage every second that you're stood on it. Don't stand on the defiled ground. Embodied Sorrow will do an Inferno Strike, which casts a fire spell at a random target, dealing 1.2 million damage, but it'll be split amongst all targets within 8 yards, so make sure that you're slightly grouped up. And Embodied Gloom will cast Corruption Shock. First thing you need to know, this is interruptible, so when it casts it, stop it. But if it does get through, then he'll hurl a lightning bolt at several targets, inflicting 82,499 nature damage to all players within 4 yards. Next boss up is Softfoot, and he'll do a Grot ability. Healers, pay attention to this because it will inflict 44,000 physical damage every 2 seconds to its target, but can only be removed once he performs his Desperate Measure ability. Mages, you can block it off. He'll then do Gouge. Tanks, you pay attention to this. He will attempt to incapacitate you for 4 seconds, then fixating on a random target until he's taunted back. But if you're not facing him when he attempts this maneuver, he will simply knock you back a short distance. When you see it incoming, either turn your back to him or just push through so you automatically have your back to him and you'll be knocked back and not incapacitated. He also has access to 2 separate types of poison. He has a Noxious Poison, which successful melee attacks will create a pool of poison on the ground, dealing 70,125 nature damage. You can jump over this. This is removed during his Desperate Measure phase. And also Instant Poison, where successful melee hits will deal 112,000 499 nature damage. Now, his desperate measure is to turn into an evil embodiment of his brother Lao, I would imagine, called the Mark of Anguish. He will then fixate and root a target to the ground, but that target will gain an extra action button. While he's attacking this target, they will get shadow weakness, which increases the damage that the Mark of Anguish will do to them. But the extra action button allows you to target players within 40 yards of you and pass the Mark of Anguish onto them. He will then fixate onto them, as you can see here, and run to them instead. Mage is always a good target to focus on this because they can ice block through it, but he will also put debilitation on the targets as well, which will reduce their armor by 50% for 2 minutes, so just be careful who you pass it off to. Which finally brings us on to Sun Tenderheart. Her first ability is Shar Seer, which causes an explosion of shadow magic around the target, inflicting increasing shadow damage every second to all enemies within 5 yards. It's interruptible, and also, if you're being targeted and you have lots of players around you, move away from them as well. She'll do the nasty shadow word Bane, which is cast on multiple targets, dealing 55,000 shadow damage every 3 seconds for 18 seconds. Each time it deals damage, it jumps to an additional target up to 3 times. I've also seen it stack. It's dispellable. Healers get rid of it immediately. And she'll also deal Calamity, which strikes all players for 30% of their maximum health as shadow damage, and it removes any Shadow Word Bane that's left to all targets as well. Now, her desperate measure was what we just saw there, the Dark Meditation. She deals shadow damage to all targets every half a second. But if you stand inside of the meditation bubble, you take 50% less damage. She'll also do those manifestations of emotions, which you attack. When they take damage, it deals damage to the creature that spawned them, it says in the Dungeon Journal, which I can only imagine means Sun Tenderheart herself. Other things to look out for. Remember, individually attacking targets till they're 66% and then 33%, and then make sure they all die together. If you see somebody with a yellow circle around them, stack on them, share the damage. If you do that, if you adhere to these rules, then you should get through this fight without too much difficulty. It looks like there's a lot going on, but really, it's very, very simple indeed. So I hope you enjoyed the vid. Please do like, comment and subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook and also twitch.tv/Heal vs Babyface for live streaming. I'll be back with another boss very soon. You take care, everybody. Bye-bye.